Before we get started, I wanted to mention that everyone has made Itty very sad because she hasn't gotten any likes and subscribes lately.
I need more subscribes and likes, please.
She does. Validate her existence, please. And now, on with the show. Hi, this is CrackBall Gaming here, and welcome to our channel. Today, I wanted to talk about next-gen storage, because I think we've got maybe a problem, maybe not, but I really want to explore it.
Because there's nothing sexier than storage.
Sexy storage discussion. SSD. There we go. Yes. All right. So we're getting some more information about the new consoles, especially PlayStation. Things are slowly leaking out. They had some show and tell with some Japanese YouTube influencers. Mm-hmm. And we got word of maybe how much usable storage there is on the PlayStation 5. Now, we already know a little bit about the Xbox Series X, so I want to break it down by first going back one generation. I want to just lay the groundwork for a lot of the discussions right now. People are forgetting what last generation was like and how it started off, and everyone's like, oh my god, the space, and oh my god, what are we going to do? And so here we go. The Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 both had a 500 gig model at the start. Okay? You could expand the storage instantly on the PlayStation with the internal drive swaps if you wanted to. Xbox had other models, but we're just going to go 500 gig, 500 gig. Compare. So, the PS4 only had 407 gigabytes of usable space.
And what does that mean?
Well, that means that the OS, you need to have an operating system running the PlayStation, running the Xbox, doing stuff to make you have fun.
I thought there was just like a little mouse in there on a wheel or something.
Yeah, that was like the PlayStation 3.
Okay.
So anyway, and so it accounted for an 18.6% reduction in the amount of hard drive space you had to use. All right. Now the Xbox One, out of 500 gigs, only had 362 gigs available. So that was a 27.6%.
Whoa!
Reduction of your purchased 500 gig hard drive.
That's a big difference.
So I think that's equating to what happened when they wanted the Xbox One to be the one device you use. So it had all the TV stuff, the VCR stuff. I mean, it was a lot of junk going on.
Okay, that makes sense.
So there was probably an enormous amount of overhead. They had to connect. That was kind of mandatory at the start. So who knows what that OS needed to be like. And maybe they trimmed it down over time. That was how the launch went, right? Okay, everything changes over time. So we're just talking about the launch because that's when people care. Because once you have the systems, they've been out in a while. You find other ways to handle your hard drive space, you add more, you spend more money, whatever. So here comes the next generation, and we're talking about hard drive space again, and you see some people freaking out, and maybe rightfully so, but I wanted to put it in perspective. So what we know, we know some things, we don't know some things, we're going to assume some things and play around with some numbers and see how scary or fun it gets.
Ooh, numbers.
Numbers, we love numbers. Okay, maths. Yes. All right, so we're going to start simple. Xbox Series X has a 1 terabyte version. That's all they have.
That's simple. 1 terabyte. Yes. Got it.
So what we've heard is, and what seems to be shown is, the OS is running at about 200 gigs.
Okay.
So you only have 800 gigs on the hard drive you get to use, and that's a 20% reduction.
Okay, so that's better.
Better than the Xbox One.
Yeah, so that's good.
Not as good as the PS4 was, but I think what you're going to see, and what I'm presenting, is it looks like people are targeting about 20% of your initial hard drive space.
Okay.
Is probably taken up by the OS. When I say initial, it's like what was designed in the box, right?
Yeah.
So it's a 200 gig OS on the Xbox Series X. Now let's put the PS5 out there. They are starting with an 825 gig hard drive.
Okay, so a little less than an Xbox.
A little less. They say, I think there's a little thing we have to mention that in the Mark Cerny Road to PlayStation 5, he said they picked this hard drive size because they saw the average usage of most players. That's how much space they needed. The problem is, I think it's a little duplicitous because they don't give you all that space. They're still going to use some of that for their OS, and here it comes. We probably are only getting 664 gigs of usable space. Now, what that is that's still a 20.5% reduction.
Okay, so not as good as PS4.
Not as good as PS4, but right in line with Xbox. Yeah, that's the reduction. So you're still getting more gigs, in your hard drive with a PS5 at the start than you did on your PS4 by it's almost like 250 gigs because once you take the OSs into account.
Yeah.
Right? And you're certainly doing a lot better on the Xbox Series X because they're starting you with a 1 terabyte.
Tremendously better.
Starting you with a 1 terabyte. No choice there. So 800 versus 362. But you're still getting the same reduction. Now, here's what we don't know. Microsoft hasn't said anything about the Xbox Series S. The Xbox Series S has a 500 gig hard drive. If they're going to use the exact same...
And they've stated that they're the same.
Well, I don't know that they've stated that they're the same. The Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S are different. The hard drive space is 1 terabyte versus 500 gig. If we assume the OS is exactly the same, that's a scary thought. Because if the OS is the same and it's 200 gigs, that leaves you with 300 gigs only available on their digital-only system. If that's true, it's a 40% reduction in your hard drive.
That's crazy.
Right. So
how many games do you think you can even get on that?
It all depends on what you're playing, right? If you're playing AAA, 2, maybe 3 max. Now here's the thing. Maybe the Xbox Series S OS is not the same. Maybe there's a lot of features taken out of it. I don't know. If we assume it does and they're still going for a 20% reduction, that means the OS on the Xbox Series S has to be 100 gigs smaller than the OS on the Xbox Series X.
How would they do that?
I don't know. And I don't know that they will be. But that's what you'd have to do to get there. That's the conundrum. We still don't know about the Xbox Series S. We think we have a good idea on the PlayStation 5. So the reduction is in line with what you'd expect for an OS. It still doesn't leave you with a tremendous amount of space, but none of these machines really are leaving you with a tremendous amount. 1 terabyte reduced to 800 gig for the Xbox Series X isn't going to be enough either. None of them are going to be enough. And Microsoft has their proprietary hard drives you have to pay $220 for. PlayStation is not doing that. However, their drive is so specialized that I can guarantee you when they do identify the drives, you could...
It's going to be very expensive.
Very expensive.
When anything is specialized, it just means it costs more money.
Right. And if anyone that's into PCs know, SSDs are really expensive. You usually use them in tandem with standard hard drives to put a lot of storage in there, but the new next-gen systems, they're not going to use that really much. All the actual next-gen games are probably going to use these SSDs, so it's going to be expensive to get everything up to par and have as much storage as you're used to in current-gen systems.
It sounds like there's going to be a lot of people dealing with a lot of file management going in the future.
Yes, and I also don't know that a lot of people adopting systems at the start of a console generation, maybe new this time, are going to realize the kind of investment some of this stuff is. We're used to it, so it's not a big deal, but it's just like go in with your eyes open and understand what's happening. Are the systems coming in with like crazy low amounts of storage space? No, they're not. They're coming in with a little bit more than they had last time. You know, will games be bigger than they were before? In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. The end of the generation, those file sizes are normal for what's going into games. Games look a lot better. They're a lot more complex than they ever were. So those are all normal experiences. But you're going into next gen, they are going to be bigger. You're going to get less bang for your SSD, buck. So yeah, that was really it. It wasn't revolutionary. I just wanted to put it out there in black and white. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the Xbox Series S because I'd be shocked if they have a different kind of OS for it. Because then you're managing. So that could mean it's going to be a shocking number when people see how low that one is. But that one will be quite surprising. That's
going to be interesting.
Because if it is truly a 40% reduction in the amount of space you have, that's just kind of crazy for a digital box.
What does it mean for that box?
Well, that's why I think maybe they got something else going on. Maybe there's less that box can do, and there's a lot more, bells and whistles on the Xbox Series X OS. I don't know. It's Microsoft. They do OSs, so maybe they got it figured out.
Maybe.
All right, well, I think that's it for today. If you liked the video, then please leave a like, subscribe, love us, and we'll see you in the next one.